member of ACM, Computer Society of India, and the Indian Society for Technical Education. Professor Amartaraj has published over 13 research papers in several international journals as well as national journals. And also, he has been invited for 51 international conferences and 19 for other events. With this brief introduction, we would like to hand over the session to Mr. S. Amartaraj, sir. Let's welcome, sir.
And thank you for the introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you have had a fine day so far. The topic of this session is metadata. The present trend is metadata is the future of information systems. I mean, the future of information systems may be decided by this metadata. I hope at least some of the audience already know what the meaning for this word metadata. What is metadata? It's data about data, right? The objectives of this session include I will use an analogy to explain the concept of metadata. We'll see a simple case study on the contextual component of metadata as a contextual component of data set. So these two things will give a clear understanding of what is metadata, and then we shall move on to what is metadata, how it can be used for resource discovery, how it is created, how it is shared, and all. Regarding information systems, the title of this FDP is Management Information Systems. So today we have different categories of software, applications, and all. The requirements of present-day information systems are more demanding. For example, consider the applications of yesteryears. Before the advent of Windows or graphical user interfaces, people were typing all the commands at the command prompt. Then people will have to remember the various options for each and every command. So, but now we have graphical user interfaces, we have icons, menus, and all. The graphical user, present day graphical user interfaces are very much user friendly, very easy to use. Then the very early day systems, the capability of the machines was also less. At the time of disk operating systems, when we had no Windows or graphical user interfaces, we had applications like WordStar, Lotus 123, DBase 2, DBase 3, DBase 4, and all. Then the first PC introduced, it had no hard disk. Then in the PC XT, PC 80 only this hard disk was introduced. The very early day hard disk drives, they had a capacity of 40 MB, 50 MB and only. But you people know the present day capacity of main memory. Even main memory is 4 GB or 8 GB nowadays. And then the secondary storages, present hard disk drives capacity is 1 TB or 2 TB and all. Present day applications also require a good machines with a good specification. If the main memory capacity is less, then the system runs slowly. Only if the specification of the machine is good, the applications run at a normal speed or at a good speed. So for good operation, for good execution of a system, good specification computers are necessary nowadays. So regarding software or applications, the requirements are more demanding nowadays. Applications are sophisticated. Software, present day software, they are increasingly complex. Software development is a dynamic. I mean, the present day systems, they are multi-user systems, distributed systems. We have cloud computing applications. Many people use mobile devices nowadays. Consider a web page is being developed. It has to be developed so that it will be displayed appropriately on any kind of system. So the user may be using a desktop machine or a laptop, or they may be using a tablet or a mobile phone. So the screen size, the resolution may be different. Whatever may be the type of device the user is using, or whatever may be the type of application, like a multi-user, distributed system. So systems development always undergoing a major change. The techniques, tools, technologies which may be used after a decade or after 2 decades. We cannot predict only this programming language will be used or this type of application will be used after a decade. Even regarding hardware, regarding mobile phones, you people are already aware how the early day mobiles look like. So they were more or less small sized push button telephones. But nowadays it is different. Altogether it's different. We have touch screens, the type of applications, apps used in the present day mobile phones, they are different. They have undergone major change. Then today people expect all of their tasks to be done in a single handheld portable device. So they expect anything, internet access or sending email or whatever may be their work, whatever may be their task, they expect it to be done using their smartphone. So like this, regarding the applications, the programming languages or applications used, one thing we may be sure is object-oriented approach will be followed. But we cannot say this is the platform or this is the technology or this is the framework that will be used. Now coming to the point, what is metadata? Actually, it's data about data. Okay, metadata. To be simple, metadata is data about data. So it's data about data or information about data. So consider a library. They have many volumes. They have large amount of resources like books, journals, magazines, and all. Then they have a catalog normally. The catalog has information about the books available in the library, like title of the book, author of the book. So author, title, publisher, edition, year of publication, number of pages, then price of the book. So like this, each book has data, these details These details of all the books have to be are stored in the catalog. Okay. In addition to these details about the books, the people in the library should also know about whether the book is available in the library or not. It may be present in the rack, or somebody might have borrowed the book, or there are additional possibilities also. If the book is damaged, then it may be sent for some repair or binding, or the book might have been lost. So like this, the data, large amount of data is stored. So they use a technique called catalog. Similarly, in an institution or university, the details of the students, like personal details of the students, then the scholastic record of the students. So everything is maintained by information systems. Metadata record documents key information about your data. Metadata provides answers to questions you may have about your own data or about data of other people also. For a data management system or information system to be successful, metadata is the key component. So the success of an information system or a data management system depends on what type of metadata is used, how metadata is created, how it is stored. So based on that only, the system will be successful or efficient. So metadata is data about data. It is the who, why, where, when, how, and what of your data. That is, so metadata is very useful for data reporting. How it is useful is, it provides information like who created the data. For example, consider a new book is purchased by the library. The details of that book should be included in the catalog. Okay, some person in the library will be responsible for creating the data record related to the new book which has been added to the stock. So who created the data, who manages the data, where is the study area, where can I access the data, what is the data content, what source data was used, then how was the data created. So maybe what type of application was used to create that data, how is the data distributed. For example, in the case of an institution or university, in the early days, the details of the book will be available in the catalog present in the library only. Then people started using the OPAC, Online Public Access Catalog. So the data may be available at a single location only, or it may be available inside a campus only. In some cases, consider a company has many branches. Then the data may be available in all branches, may be available in the intranet of the organization, or it may be available as a public to the public via internet. Then when is the time period of the content? When was the data created? Why was the data created? Or what is the purpose of storing that data? Why, if there is any missing values, why are they missing? For example, we may have a null value for a particular column, right? So metadata is who, why, where, when, what, and how of our data. So now we have a simple analogy to understand the concept of metadata. So here we have a pack of vegetable soup. So you can see here the whatever may be the type of pack, whether they have a label, right? So in the label they have a name. Maybe they may have a brand name. See, actually here some title is given. The title of this, what is the content in this pack is V8. They have an abstract. The content in this pack is vegetable soup, 100% pure vegetable soup. Then some supplementary information is given. The sodium content in this vegetable soup juice is less, so low sodium. So maybe they have given V8. It may mean it contains a juice of some 8 vegetables, like that. So then the size is given here. That is, what is the capacity, whether 100 ml or 500 ml. So that is given. Then normally on top of the cap, the manufacturing date, there may be some expiry date also. So such things are normally given on the top of the cap. So here inside this pack, something is present. So here they have mentioned it is vegetable juice. So here there's a label which gives information about the content inside this pack. Okay. So a metadata is similar to a label for your data. So consider metadata as an information label for your data. So similar to the label giving details about the content of this pack. The metadata gives data about your data. So in this case study, here there is a front label which gives the title. Here it is given V8 is the then a short abstract 100% juice about the content, the size 500 ml, or in some countries they mention instead of ml they may give ounce of the resource. Some supplemental information is also there about the sodium content, here low sodium. So this supplementary information is provided so that it adds some value to this like this. There is a timestamp on a cap. It indicates the time period or freshness of the resource. Then there is a entity. There are some attributes. So like what is the percentage of fat? What is the percentage of cholesterol? What is the percentage of sodium? What is the percentage of carbohydrate? Then the sources. What are the raw material or sources which were used to prepare this vegetable juice? Then responsible party, publication place. So in some case, some products, the manufacturer may market the product also. In certain cases, the manufacturer or the person who packed this vegetable soup in the pack may be different. The person doing marketing may be different. So the responsible party, publication place are also mentioned in the label. So it has a back label. It gives indicates the entity that is being described, maybe the serving size of the vegetable juice, the attributes, what is the nutrition content of the entity, so ingredients or raw material used to manufacture this product, who is the party responsible for this data. Maybe if there is a complaint, you have to contact this responsible person, and the place where it was published or manufactured, a short abstract about the content, about the size of the data, supplementary information, then the timestamp on cap. So like this, there are some data present on the label about the content of this pack. So we can consider metadata as a label. So whatever information given by this label to the customers about the product inside, the metadata is also serving a similar purpose. So hope this analogy is useful for understanding what is metadata. Now we will see an example application or case study which helps us understand how metadata is also part of the data. So considering geospatial data, this type of data selects and represents the character of the phenomena that is of interest to the people. So here the location of a specific tree type is considered. So consider we are interested about the location of the specific tree. So in a image or in a map or in a geographical location, in some places this tree may be present densely. In some places it may be present, the presence may be sparse, or in some places this tree may not be present. A different abstraction may instead capture the color, height, or near infrared reflectance of the trees. So to study the presence of this specific tree type in a geographical location, we may use different parameters like the color, height, infrared reflection of the trees and all. The metadata selects and represents specific information about the data that is needed to assess the data or apply or manage the data. So to investigate the location of a specific type of tree in a geographical location, so we may use appropriate metadata which helps us assess, apply or manage the data. So for example, here we have a phenomena or specific type of tree. We may have a map or image or database. So that is database which contains details of the presence of this tree. So in this location, this much number of trees are present. In another location, 50 trees are present. In another location, 10 trees are present. Like that. Details may be stored in a database, or it may be a map or image also. So to indicate the level of presence or the quantity, some legends are also used here. So here, so the content is represented in a map or image or database. So what is present in the metadata is the context. So like title, responsible party, purpose, abstract, geographical extent, positional accuracy, like that. So metadata gives context to data content. So whatever may be the application, the map or image or database gives us the content. So what is the capacity of the phenomena present in different locations? So the content is given to us by the map or image or database. The context is provided by the metadata. Metadata gives context to data content. Then we shall see how metadata aids data discovery. Metadata is a powerful tool for data discovery. It enables users to query the data based on their usage criteria. Metadata enables users to search for data. So this search can be done by using different things like location, theme, time period, publisher, attributes. For example, not only researchers or people doing higher studies, even school students are because of the usage of smart devices, everybody, not only people who are doing research or who are studying, anybody, if they want to know about something, they try to search using a search engine, right? So this metadata, if appropriate metadata is used by the search engine, then it can deliver good quality and quantity when some search is done by any type of user. Metadata can be used to find our own data. We can also use it to discover data produced by others. The only thing is, the metadata regarding the data produced by others should be published and made available for search. So, for example, in our example of this geospatial data, metadata enables users to search on their own. Maybe it may be done using a data management system like a geographic information system or a database management system. If it also enables users to search external data or data of others, then we may go for a data distribution system like a data catalog. For example, in this case of external data, the people in the library have prepared a catalog. Okay, the users of the library, the people who come to the library for borrowing books, are members of a library. They use the catalog to search for books, to find whether a book is available in the rack or it has already been borrowed by somebody else. So, or how many copies of a book is present. Then, is there a new edition of the book available? Like that, different type of search may be done in a data catalog. So data distribution systems like data catalogs, data servers, web mapping applications may be used. So these are enabled by metadata to search external data. Now we come to we have so far discussed the analogy to understand what is metadata, and then we saw a simple case study for understanding metadata. So now you know at least something about metadata. You have understood the significance of metadata. Now we shall see what is metadata, how metadata is created, how metadata is stored, then how metadata may be processed. Is there any protocol for processing metadata? Regarding metadata creation, it is equivalent to the art formerly known as cataloging. So, for example, in a library they have a catalog, so which contains details of all the books available in the library. So, metadata is about delivery of resources by resource creators or resource owners rather than by intermediary people. Metadata enables remote access to resources for all. Metadata places the emphasis on customer or user of the system. For example, in a library, it is the member of a library who come to the library for borrowing books. Similarly, consider the railway web portal. So the railway website, so it is used by people who want to search for trains or to check whether a train is available on a particular day, or how many seats or how many berths are available in the train. So like this, the users of a railway reservation system. So actually the emphasis is on the end user. So even in software engineering, we used to say the ultimate goal of software development is user satisfaction. So all the requirements, all the needs of the user, end user or customer should be present in the end product. So that is the ultimate goal of designing a system. Then information overload. So when a search, for example, this Google effect, consider searching for something in a search engine. So whether quantity is to be delivered, produced as result, the result produced, it should be have, the quantity should be more or the quality should be good. So that depends on how the metadata is created or what type of metadata is used, then how the metadata is used. So regarding metadata, the definition or explanation for metadata, here the experts Dempsey and Heery, they have a definition for metadata. It is data associated with objects. For example, in a library, books, journals are objects. In a railway reservation system, the trains, seats, berths are objects. So data associated with objects, which relieves their potential users of having to have full advanced knowledge of their existence or characteristics. A user might be a program or a person. So a software, that is, it may be a human agent or a software agent. There is another definition by Berners-Lee. Metadata is machine understandable information about web resources or other things. There's a third definition. Metadata is structured data about resources that can be used to help support a wide range of operations. So for example, in the case of we already saw example like a library or a reservation system. So who use metadata? What use metadata? So in this definition itself, the user may be a program or person, that is software agent or human agent. So human agent may be the owner managing the resources, or maybe in a library, it may be the library who is managing the resources, or researchers seeking resources, or third-party services, or it may be a software agents like aggregators. Actually, aggregation means it is a part of relationship. Okay. Then portals, maybe web portals presenting landscape to user, brokers performing query tasks on behalf of the user. So in object-oriented application development, we have a concept of ORB, Object Request Broker. So here, a similar thing, brokers performing query tasks on behalf of user. So here, we say resources, objects, things. So what are these resources or objects or things? So here we have some examples: HTML documents, digital images, databases, books, museum objects, archival records. So these are what we mean resources or objects or things. Then what operations may be performed on metadata? Actually, metadata serves different purposes based on the type of information system. In a library, it may serve a different purpose. In a search engine, it may serve a different purpose. So different flavors of metadata serve different purposes. So it may be simple and generic, or it may be rich and specific. It may be published widely, may be published in the internet or shared within a community, maybe only within the intranet, or used by resource owner or manager. Maybe the details of the library being used by the librarian. So the owner or manager or provider of metadata wants to establish control of resources. So in the case of a library, so the librarian wants to have details like how many books are in stock now, how many books have been lended. So how many borrowers have not returned even after the due date. So like this, some control might have to be exercised. Then regarding books, there may be different categories. There may be some reference books which may not be lended to members of the library. So some books may be lended to members of the library. Regarding reference book, the members of the library may sit in the reading room and use the reference books. That's all. They may not be permitted to borrow the book. So like this, establish control of resources, administer resources or manage resources, disclose or promote resources. So then enable and control access of resources, then contextualize resources. So like this, these are the different operations that may be done using metadata. So what operations may be done by the end user? Here we saw, see here there are different flavors of metadata. One is published widely. That is maybe available on the internet. Another category is shared within community, maybe inside a university or institution or in a intranet of an organization, then used by resource manager or manager, maybe within the organization. Sorry. So here, regarding the first category, see there are different categories. One category is how a manager or owner performs operations on metadata. Another one is how the end user perform operations using metadata. To find something, maybe a researcher, he may search for something and then see to identify, maybe the member of a book may want to identify a book in which rack it is present or whether it is available or already lended. Then select, obtain, interpret. Then operations by third-party service may want to disclose something or promote something, enable access or control access, annotate, recontextualize. So now we saw what is metadata, who use metadata, then what operations may be done by different categories of people on metadata. Now, what info are required in metadata? Data, it is data about data. What type of data or info should be present in metadata? So, we don't have a one-size-fits-all solution. So, it depends on for what type of application the metadata is to be used. So, based on the type of meta application only, we can say this type of metadata may be useful. Then the info required, it depends on operation which is supported by metadata. So we may refer to the standard practices may be what is the benefit of others' experience or expertise. So based on that, we shall try to include information. Provide basis for good practice, reflect consensus, so facilitate exchange, access and interoperability. Then we may use software tools so that there is good efficiency. So then we may have administrative metadata. So how metadata may be useful for resource discovery? So resource users may wish to search across descriptions from different providers. Resource users may wish to compare descriptions or combine descriptions from different providers. So the people who are going to use the resource, they may search across descriptions, they may combine descriptions from different providers of metadata. Then regarding providers of metadata, they may want to disseminate descriptions widely, share descriptions with others and including third parties, describe relationship between resources. Then third parties, they may want to build services on descriptions prepared by others or annotate descriptions prepared by others. So these are the the resource users may focus on this. Resource providers may focus on this. Third parties may do this. So metadata for resource discovery is used beyond its creator community because whatever created by others, the third parties try to build some services over it. So it is used beyond its creator community. Metadata may be combined with metadata from other communities also. Then metadata is aggregated or cross-searched. So aggregation is part of relationship. So here we have the challenge. If metadata from more than two creator communities are combined together, there is the challenge of semantic interoperability. See, actually, this is a place where researchers who are interested in metadata may go for. So they may try to improve this semantic interoperability in metadata. Metadata typically covers description of resource content. That is, what is it may include some description of context. Then description of resource form. See, description of content, description of form, description of use. So that is what is the context, how it is constructed, what tools may be used, whether it is affordable. So here, whatever may be the resource or object, there may be attributes like title, subject, description, creator, publisher, contributor, format, identifier, language, relation, rights. So these may be used as metadata of some data. So here we have a typical use of metadata, that is a resource discovery within a project. Considering we have some resources, so some people, either a human agent or a software agent, may want to get access to the resources. So we may create some metadata for these resources. So the users of the resources, so they may use a website. So these websites may use the metadata for getting access to the appropriate resources. Now we shall move on to how metadata is created. Metadata may be created using software tools or human agents. Regarding software tools, the tool may be an indexing robot or web crawler. So here we move from resource content from server information. regarding creation by human agents, we are bothered with description by resource creator or owner or description by third-party services. Creating and maintaining good quality metadata is not cheap. We need to know the right issues for metadata as well as for resources. Only if the metadata created is good, then only the system will be efficient. How metadata is stored? So metadata may be embedded in the resource itself. It depends on the format of the resource. Then we also need to know whether the metadata can be extracted from the resource itself. The metadata may be linked to the resource. It may be created as a record in a database. So, for example, these are the, here we have an example. All these details may be stored in a database. So embedded in resource, linked to resource, created as a record in database, then adopt approach which offers better flexibility. So this flexibility may be needed to present different subsets of full metadata in different contexts. So for example, here we have a resource. There are some details about the resource. The creator of the resource is this gentleman, the date on which created, the title of this resource. So these details may be stored in a database. So here, see, number of the document, creator of the document, date on which created, title of the document. So we may have a metadata record as a linked resource. A metadata may be embedded in the resource itself. And so this is one possibility here, embedded in resource. So this is one possibility. Another one is linked to resource. So metadata embedded in resource. This is one possibility. So all details are stored in a database. Another possibility is metadata record is available as a linked resource. So the details are available in the database. In addition, we have a, let's see, here we have a metadata record which points to this record. This record points to this value stored in the database. How is metadata shared? So it is better we have answers to these two questions. How does a data provider make metadata records available in a commonly understood form? So, for example, if you want to travel to many countries, then we must know the language used by the people in those countries, or we must know a language a common language which is known to all the people. So like this, how does a data provider make metadata records make it available in a commonly understood form? Similarly, how does a service provider obtain these metadata records from data providers? So the answers to these questions provide the answer for how metadata can be stored. So metadata can be stored as a language. That is, metadata records may be stored as sets of statements. So then, in a language, consider you study a language, then you must know the syntax, semantics, and structure. So effective transmission of information requires agreement on semantics. That is, what do the words or terms in that language mean? So that we must be able to understand what does the term cat mean? What does the term mat means? Similarly, we must know the structure of a language. which gives the significance of arrangement of terms. For example, in English, a sentence may have the form subject followed by verb followed by object. So then the syntax or general format gives the rules of expression. So based on these terms, if we follow this structure, then we may combine these terms to get a sentence like the cat sat on the mat. So we must know the alphabet. If you study a language, you must know the alphabets, the words available in the language, the meaning of those words, and then so the semantics, you must know the structure for creating sentences. So you must know the syntax or general format. A resource description community is defined by consensus on conventions. That is consensus on syntax, consensus on agreement on syntax, agreement on semantics, agreement on meaning of the structure. Regarding agreement on syntax, XML may be used. That is, extensible markup language may be used. Regarding agreement on semantics of terms, we may go for meaning of elements or attributes. That is, we may have uniquely, we may achieve this using uniquely named through XML namespace. Then regarding agreement on meaning of structure, we may go for use of community standard XML DTD schema. So XML is extensible markup language. Then people from computer science background might be already aware about XML. For creating XML documents, we need to use community standard DTD schema. DTD is nothing but document types definition. DTD is a set of markup declarations which give definition. So it defines a document type for a SGML family markup language. So SGML is nothing but standard generalized markup language. So the markup language may be GML or SGML or XML or HTML. So it is better we use the standardized XML. DTD defines the valid building blocks of an XML document. It defines the document structure with a list of validated elements and attributes. Now we shall have a small introduction to XML so that people who don't know about XML also understand. The expansion for XML is extensible markup language. It has been standardized by this W3C in 1998. It defines means of describing tree-structured data in text-based format. We have embedded markup delimits, and XML actually describes data. It's a simple platform-independent syntax. We can use it in any platform. So it is a standard. It provides standard programming interfaces. We can have reusable software components. XML is widely adopted for transferring data between programs or between systems. It may be different systems also, since it is platform independent. Here we have an example for XML. Consider we have a, see here, the example we already saw, the creator of a report, data of creation, title. Actually, here we have a table. It's a relation. It's a table. In a table, we have records. See, one by one. Record 1, record 2, record 3. Like that, in a table, we have records. In each record, there are many columns or fields. See, like first field is document, second field is creator, third field is date, next field is title. So in a record, we have instances or values for each of the field like this. So this is described in XML like this. See here, at the root of the tree we have a table. See, table. First we begin with the table. It ends with the table. Okay. Inside a table we have records. See, a record. Then a record ends here. So inside this record we have these fields. See, we have one value for this field 1. Then creator, we have some value J Smith. Then date, we have some value date. Then title, we have the value is report. So then actually if there is only one record here, consider there are 3 records, then this record, then the ending here, like this, we will have 3 instances. So to convert a table into XML format, so here we may go for serialization, see like record by record, and we may transmit it record by record. Then at the resource side, serialization is done. After serialization, it is transmitted. The reverse process, deserialization, is done at the receiving side. Here, a remote application utilizes this data. So more about XML. XML has support from major software vendors. So regarding use of XML, it is invisible to the end user. XML is increasingly invisible to information managers. That is, it is generated and consumed by software. So if you have a relational or RDBMS, so you can use software tools for generating and consuming it. It requires consensus on structure amongst communication partners. So there has to be some general rule to be agreed, the rule followed by the communication partners. Use XML for exchange when partners, that is already we saw the user may be a human agent or a software agent. So the partners should know semantics conveyed by the structure of metadata. Then we may use RDF or XML for exchange when metadata potentially used by applications without prior knowledge of specific schema. Then metadata incorporates overlapping structures from different domains. So the use of XML is transparent to the end user. It is created by some software tool. Then regarding use of XML, the communication partners, both partners should know semantics conveyed by the structure of metadata. Then we have another concept, Open Archives Initiative. This Open Archives Initiative develops or promotes interoperability between 2 sets of metadata. So this is necessary for promoting interoperability to provide dissemination of the content. So consider you have some metadata in one geographic location, in another continent or another part of the world they have in metadata. There has to be interoperability. So this Open Archives Initiative provides such interoperability for facilitating dissemination of content from one part of the world to another part of the world. It has roots, this initiative, has roots in ePrints community. So today we are going widely for digitalization. So we have, even in libraries, instead of purchasing hard copies of books, they go for e-books, e-magazines and all. So yeah, archive, it is equivalent to a, actually here the archives in this word, Open Archives Initiative, here what they actually mean is not the generic meaning of the word archive. Actually here they mean a repository. So in a software industry today, they have repositories of design patterns, frameworks, modules which can be reused. So to go for reusability, they have a repository of design patterns, frameworks, modules and all. So here actually it is an open repository initiative. So why they say open is in terms of architecture and not, they do not refer to free access or unlimited access to the repository. So we have, for agreement on syntax, we use XML. For agreement on semantics, we go for meaning of elements or attributes should be unique. It is named through XML namespace. Regarding agreement on meaning of structure, we go for DTD schema. So this serialization and deserialization are all done by software tools. Then regarding Open Archives Initiative, there's a protocol used for maintaining metadata or processing metadata, OAI Metadata Harvesting Protocol, MHP. OAI, Open Archives Initiative Metadata Harvesting Protocol. This is a lightweight protocol. It allows data providers to provide metadata records for retrieval by service providers. See, actually, this protocol is built on HTTP and XML. This lightweight protocol make requests from service provider to data provider. So this the request from service provider to, when we use this protocol, the request from service provider to data provider is sent by using a HTTP get message or HTTP post message. So actually there are 6 verbs, 6 formats of using these HTTP and this get and post maybe are possible. The responses from the, see, the request is made from the service provider to the data provider using get message or post. The response from the data provider to the service provider will be in the form of XML documents. This response must provide simple document content. Actually, OAI provides XML schema. This response may provide other metadata formats also. So that will also be normally in XML format. Now, we shall see 2 examples. One, resource discovery within a project. Okay. So there may be resources. There may be metadata which point to the resources. Anybody inside who are people who are involved in the project may use the website to, they may appropriately use the metadata to get access to the resources. Regarding resource discovery across the program, so we may have a similar mechanism in one campus or one part of the world. There may be a similar infrastructure in another part of the world. So here the metadata may export it in this DC. So it may be sent to portal a website using OAI MHP. So just now we saw what is OAI and MHP. MHP is a lightweight protocol. Similarly, this infrastructure may also provide the same thing to this portal. Okay, so whatever available in this campus and whatever available in this campus, so they may be converted into appropriate form by this protocol and provided to another website. So the people here may get access to these resources using this metadata. Now, resource discovery in larger context. So we saw this example earlier. Now consider there are many such portals. Portal B, portal A. See, maybe this is portal C. Okay. So like this, resource discovery in larger context. So many people here interoperability is the is needed. So we first saw an analogy for metadata. So we saw a pack of vegetable juice. There's a label on the pack which gives we try to understand what is metadata. Metadata is data or information about data. So not only data, it may be a resource or object or thing. We saw an example of geospatial data, a map or image or database may have the content. The context is provided by metadata. So then we discussed about what is metadata, how it can be created, how it can be stored, how it can be handled and all. So we saw how metadata can be used for resource discovery and resource management. We discussed about resource discovery metadata made to be shared. Then for communication, the communication partners need to understand the syntax, semantics and structure. Then we saw the role of standards, OAI, MRP. So we have today lightweight protocols for metadata exchange between different web portals. Yet this lightweight protocol provides a balance of the functionality and cost. Then, so these things we can enhance access to our project's resources, and we may also access to others' resources also. Can we move on to the question session?
Any questions from participants? Is an excellent topic has been discussed. So if we have any doubts, please ask a question. And also now I have given the attendance link and copy and filled submit as early as possible, right? Any questions?
Welcome, Pradeep Singh.
Yeah, tell me, sir. Pradeep Singh, sir. Mr. Pradeep Singh. Mr. Pradeep Singh.
Sir, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, please.
Okay, sir. Good evening. Sir, what is the difference? What is the difference between the data management system and metadata? Is this same or not? Difference between the DBMS and metadata.
No, normally we store data in a database management system.
Yes, sir.
This metadata is data about that data.
Okay.
Even in DBMS, we have DDL and DML, data manipulation language and data definition language. So, like that, actually, this metadata is data about data.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, myself Madhukar. Is it somehow related with this blockchain also? Because there also we talk about data and all other things. Blockchain technology, which we talk, it is a buzz right now, and it's all over blockchain technology and blockchain. So
No,
is
actually,
also somehow data this?
Yeah, this concept is effectively used for the sake of security in blockchains.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I have one doubt, sir. Clarification.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, actually, your session is excellent, sir. There is no doubt. But I have little confusion. Can you explain what is the internal data or external data? Because the metadata is helpful to find the external data. Can you say any example external data or internal data?
Sir, actually, in one location, we have a database like this. Actually, it has this tree structure. There is a table. Inside a table, we have records. Inside a record, we have fields. In each record, we have fields like this. So this is actually converted for communication from one location to another location. The details present in here, it is converted. This is actually XML, extensible markup language. So this conversion is transparent to the user. We need not bother about that. The software tool will do this for us. So actually, for conversion from this format to XML, see this. There's a tool which performs serialization. After serialization, the transmission is done. At the receiving side, this remote application here, deserialization has to be done. So these things are taken care of by the software tool. Then, in addition to this, we also need to go for interoperability. So that here, that's why we go for this metadata harvesting protocol. The one purpose is to provide interoperability.
Yes.
So actually, we want to get access to other projects' resources. When we try to do this, we use some communication protocol. So here, the two communication partners should use the same semantic structure and all. So, but these things, they are taken care of by the tool. So the tool which processes this metadata, that takes care of this. So the protocol, the tools take care of this, so that the user need not be bothered about these conversions and all. Only the people who develop this tool, they have to be bothered about how this conversion is to be done, how actually this metadata is stored and all.
Yes, sir. Actually, question from Rajendra Singh.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. Rajendra Singh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This was a nice session, sir. Sir, I have a question. Can metadata can be copyrighted?
Can metadata?
Can be copyrighted?
No, that also depends how the metadata is actually stored. Even in the presentation.
Sir, I want to know this. This comes in the form of intellectual property right, copyright laws.
Tell me, sir. Tell me.
Actually, the cataloging process, this metadata approach is a modern approach of the early day cataloging. So in the library, they maintain a catalog. So that catalog is used by the people in the library, the librarian, assistant librarian and all, for managing the data. Similarly, the users of the library also can use that catalog, so that for searching books, maybe the search may be done by name of the author or title of the book, like that. For this purpose only, actually metadata is used.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So similarly, search engines also use this metadata. If it is used efficiently, the results produced will be good in quantity and quality.
Sir, sorry for disturbance, Dr. Amrtaraj.
Yes, sir.
Sir, Mr. Rajendra Singh, I have answered your question. Actually, you asked the question, do you have any copyright? Actually, this is metadata is entirely for finding the location. So we have any customized software, we can use the data in a particular database, like title, other like that. Not only in library, in Google search also, they have a structured format. So accordingly, the data are stored. Okay, if you want any data from specific item, we can search here data and retrieve data from cloud information, but it is not a copyright. It is open. Whatever you want to promote your product in publicly, you can get it the information for the right corner. So that is not required for any copyright. Any questions from audience? Any questions? Any doubts? Okay. Professor Amrtaraj, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I want to represent my feeling definitely, because since the session starting, your presentation were really good, and there is no any technical problem is not coming, and everybody is a cooperate in this session. So really, I thank to everybody, and thank you for your taking wonderful session. So thank you everybody. So now I can declare some message to all the participant. Tomorrow 10 o'clock we have another session. Is a beautiful will be taken by the industry person from IT company. So all of you, please welcome as early as possible. Thank you.
I would also like to thank the organizers for the opportunity. I hope the audience had a participants also had a good time. Thank you one and all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Amarraj, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please, all the participants, please copy and paste and attendance form and fill as early as possible. If you delay, definitely it will be problem for the future reference. So please, if you have any receive the link, please raise your hand. Dr. Munison, sir, do you have any the comment for this issue, sir?
No, sir. Let us go ahead.
Okay. Actually, you are in the session, right? Today morning, he told that some issues, you know.
Yes,
You are
just
going-
now I came.
Yes,
I
yes.
came back.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Another 4 minutes we have, sir.
Have you posted all the questions?
Shall we close our session, sir?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, sir. Okay,
We will
thank you
see-
for all the
we will see tomorrow.
participants.
Thank you all participants. Thank you.
Thank you. We will meet tomorrow.